Hello, good evening, and welcome. It is the special Thursday edition, which is basically because it's the only night we're all free this week. Welcome to Australian Transformers Weekly. We are bringing you Transformers news from around the world and across Australia. This is episode 263, recording October the 20th. I just had to check that in my title bar. 2022. In this week's episode, we will be discussing an early look at some upcoming Legacy Evolution figures from 2023, new buzzworthy figures creating a stir in G1 fans' wallets, and Mirage is Pete Davidson? All that and more is coming up in this week's episode after this. Greetings and welcome. We have a nice full house for the podcast tonight. I am Jason, coming to you from Sydney. I have one Sydney cohort in Mikey Siciliano. How are you doing, sir?
Yes, very good. Thank you so much. And thank you for accommodating us on your Thursday night. This isn't a Friday. This isn't a Saturday. We're doing it on a Thursday. So that's a bit fun.
It's a different night of the week, but we're going to give it a go and see whether or not people pay attention. I've also realised that I'm not looking at the comments yet, but I should.
I did the same thing.
And yes, very good, very good. Thank you to Rob Franklin. Good evening to you, sir. Very nice to see you watching along. And as people watching along live can see, we do like to take a few live comments and talk back to people. I guess talking back to people is probably the poor way of saying it. Joining us, coming slightly out of Sydney, we've got Daria coming to us from Canberra. How are you doing, Daria?
Pretty well. How's everyone in here tonight? How's everyone out there tonight?
Doing all right. Not underwater like Victoria. I say underwater like Victoria. I checked in with Brad, our erstwhile producer. No, not erstwhile. Erstwhile means former. Our producer Brad. I checked in with him how he's doing, because he is right smack bang in the middle of country Victoria. And he said he's high and dry and there's no issues from floods near him. So he's just sitting there watching the water go on by. If you are in a flood affected region of Victoria, our hearts and thoughts and prayers. Not that sounds very effective, do go out to you, and we hope that you are all right. But yes, we were meant to get a ton of rain in Sydney this week, but we didn't. Did you get any down there in Canberra, Daria?
Oh yeah, on and off. In fact, it was raining just when I was outside a little bit ago. So just a little bit, but...
So it's actually really handy having Mikey on the podcast at the same time as me, because weather in Sydney moves in from the west, so Mikey can tell me when it's about to rain. Also coming to us from Adelaide, as you are in Adelaide this week, I think, right, Max?
It's a roll of a dice, but yeah, I am in Adelaide, sort of waiting for the water to arrive.
Excellent.
The funny thing is, actually, I was supposed to be in Capram Station up in the Mallee, and then that's all flooded now as well. So I'm back here sitting in my parents' house talking about Transformers. And to be honest,
what better way to spend it?
I'd much rather be here than in a muddy floodplain.
Fair enough. The options are either talking about Transformers or in a muddy floodplain. Can you say that 10 times fast? I'm not sure I can.
No, I can't.
But yeah. Yes. Well, okay. Well, look, we might we'll talk about some Transformers then, shall we? First up, what have we got in terms of local news Transformers wise? There's not a lot of new releases. There is I guess a bit of an update. We spent a bit of time last episode talking about Bulletproof Villain, and I think at the time that we were talking about them, we were a little bit suspicious of what was going on, but they hadn't actually announced what was happening. The business is closing, so do keep an eye on your email inboxes if you do have any outstanding orders with them, because there's some important communications from them coming to you about that. And we've got sticky pinned posts in both of our Facebook groups giving you some advice on how to deal with it. The short version is that if you've got a pre-order with them, they're probably not going to pay you back the full value of your pre-order for not supplying it, which is kind of sucks. Actually, no, it doesn't kind of suck. It really does suck.
It
But yeah,
majorly sucks. Yeah.
it does.
I've only made one purchase through them, and that was as they were dying, and I got a Voyager class bulkhead for $25. Pretty happy about that. It was in stock, so that's how I assumed that was the only way I got it. And yeah, I got it pretty quick, so I'm not complaining. But yeah, for all those people who have been affected by that company, I feel for you.
Yeah, look, just to be clear, they're not saying that we're not saying that they're dodgy and won't supply your stuff. But if you ordered stuff that was in stock, you're going to get it. But if you pre-ordered something, then yeah, you're not going to get your money back on that. At least not fully. They do say that they're going to refund. I think it depends on how much you have. It was either 60 or 70 cents in the dollar. So that's bad news.
Yeah. And if you look on the bright side, at least this is an isolated incident, and nothing like this has ever before happened in Australian.
And will
collecting
never
groups.
happen again.
You are in fact correct. Nothing like this has ever happened before, because usually when businesses go down, they just take your money with them. So at least in this case, the owners
it's
of
a good
Bulletproof
point.
Villain are committing to repay some of your money.
Props to that.
As opposed to just disappearing off the face of the earth.
Absolutely.
Just go to the website one day and it's not there, and that's the last you hear of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Let's not forget this has happened several times in Australian Transformers history, and it's a little bit unpleasant to have to deal with each time. But I think that also means that as a community, we're pretty good at dealing with it, and we know what we're doing. I am very amused by watching all of the things that are going on Daria's camera as she's getting things ready for us. All right, and we're back. There we go.
I was terrified that drink was about to spill.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, that would be a very expensive mistake if that happened.
So I had to stop something else from falling.
I also have a drink on my desk that I really don't want to fall over, and that is why I've locked my cat out of the room. What are we gonna start with? We're gonna start with a bit of overseas release news. Wait, where's the button for this? Where's the button for the screen share? The screen share is already on. There we go. I'll get there eventually. So that did not work at all how it was meant to happen. Don't show the toolbar. There we go. Yay. All right. Sorry about that. So first of all, big news is that the Velocitron, the second Velocitron leader that we talked about just last episode as being revealed as Galaxy Shuttle and Astro Train repaint, is already available in the UK. Hopefully this means that he'll be coming soon to Kmart stores in Australia. We haven't actually had confirmation from any confirmation from Hasbro. We haven't asked about Galaxy Shuttle coming here, but the assumption is that it will come here at the moment because everything else for this line has, and seems to have been quite successful at Kmart. So Galaxy Shuttle, the white Autobot repaint of Astro Train with an alt mode that we didn't need, the train. Is he a must buy or a might buy for you guys? I think we talked about it last time. I think, didn't we, Daria?
Yes,
Yes.
I declared that there is no such thing as a character too obscure for Hasbro to issue in this line. So
that's true.
But isn't that awesome? Like, isn't that awesome? We've come to a point where, in any line, like, of course you're gonna get your Bumblebees, your Optimuses, and all that, but like, we can get things like this guy who's essentially a nothing character, but like, because I think even in the show
that never came to the West at all.
He didn't even do anything in the show, I believe.
And he also hasn't. It's not like Star Saber, which has since appeared in Western media. This is just one of those many Japanese G1 characters that's only ever existed as Japanese G1.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, I find
Mark
this a good thing,
Mark Jones brings up a good point. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, Mark Jones brings up a good point. We need a Galaxy Train. So, I mean, if we're just going to name things for their alt modes, then we can also call this guy Galaxy Train if we want to as well. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, I certainly believe this is a good thing. I just never basically expected this particular character to pretty much ever be heard of again, let alone released by Hasbro at retail. And
It
I think it's like they heard people saying, "Oh, you just keep doing Optimus and Starscream over and over again. What are you going to do?" And they were like, "Hold my energon, boom, Galaxy Shuttle."
Galaxy Shuttle.
I mean, let's not forget there has already been an Optimus repaint in the line, but yes.
Oh, they
Well-
can have their Optimuses, but the complaint was usually that we get filled out with the same characters and maybe one or two, or it's more than one or two, but that Optimuses and such are always like the mainstays, the main attractions, and we don't really go too deep on who's hanging out with him.
Well,
Yeah, that's
Legacy, especially moving into year 2, really feels like sort of fulfilling the promise of Generations. You know, for
Yeah.
10 years or so, we had this line called Generations, which really just meant one generation and the
G1.
occasional Beast Wars figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they're just pulling from everything. You know,
I'm
faithfully pulling
gonna
from everything.
I'm gonna come to the defense of the Generations line there, because like I don't think that's necessary. I don't think that's necessarily fair. But I think for the last 2 trilogies that we've had, which is a long time since we saw sort of a pure Generations line, it has been very focused on sort of a G1 retread and redoing these things. But before that, we did get some pretty wild stuff in that line. Like we had Straxuses, we had G-Axises coming out before we sort of ducked into Combiner Wars and Prime Wars and War for Cybertron. Like, in many ways, I think Legacy is a return to that ethos rather than a true realization of it, because I think they did pretty fine with that before.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, but as you say, that's
throwing
2
30
trilogies
era.
ago. That's 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
But the thing is, the real fact is, nothing's off the table. Like, there's not a thing. I mean, a repaint potential of anything can turn into anything. Like, they needed a repaint for Astro Train. I mean, this is an interesting one. Not the first one that I thought they'd do, but it's great.
What did you expect them to do with the Astro Chain mold? Because I'm actually a little bit lost. Oh, are you thinking they might have done like Overcharge, or is it called Overcharge?
Just really any shuttle former before this guy. Really, I mean, just I never would have thought of a victory character. I mean,
My
I know
first thought would
it's
have been
silly.
Armada. Yeah,
Armada Jetfire.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like that's to say none of his stuff can't happen down a track either.
Yeah,
It's clearly everything's on the table.
yeah.
I
I
think
personally
that's
hope
great.
he gets his own mold. Yeah, Jetfire.
Yeah. I mean,
And then they can
Jetfire's
redecorate
been
into
treated
Astro
well.
Train again.
Exactly. So he's full circle. Yep.
It'll be retooled into Armada. Is it an Armada Astro Chain you're thinking of? Or?
Yeah, with the sort of
There
bubbly
was
shuttle
a
mode.
yeah, because there was a what was it it was a Collectors Club exclusive version of the Armada Astro Train Armada Jetfire as Astro Train. So like, that's not off the table either. So
And it was
Yeah.
very pretty, it was too.
oh, gorgeous! Like it's one of the best looking Astro Trains in my opinion. It's really cool. That massive Decepticon symbol on the shuttle was great.
Looking at the photo of looking at the photo, so we've got a photo up of one of the UK folks on, I think TFW has kindly posted some photos for people, and we can say we had some concerns about the deco last week when it comes to the inside of the legs, and it appears to be kind of a mix of what we saw on the render versus what we saw on the prototype. So you can see there is a dark piece inside the leg, but the leg itself is not entirely dark inside.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
it's kind of an amalgam of what we expected to see there. I did hear someone say this morning that it does actually match the render, but I don't think it does. And just looking at the photos itself, like I think there's enough of a color change from the Astro Chain mold here that it makes the familiar look unfamiliar. Like I can certainly see the parts of Astro Train here, but rendered in black and white, like I think it's different enough that I'm like, that's not a familiar character. So, it's kind of a free repaint for Hasbro out of that. And of course, pretty sure the head sculpt is different as well, isn't it?
Yeah, brand new. Well, Astro Train has been white and black before. It's had a black
That's
train
true,
mode and a
yeah.
white shuttle mode. So
Astro
like,
Train's got one of the least consistent color schemes of any
yeah,
character in the
it's
franchise.
very, very true. That yeah, it's unfortunate because he's a very cool character.
It's true. Morgan Maroney says this is Shattered Glass Astro Train. You know what? Maybe it
Why
is. The Shattered Glass line has been pulling double duty for the last year, so like, you know, why not have something else pull the Shattered Glass color scheme into it? Why not?
Shattered Glass Astro Train also has never appeared in fiction, so you can just force it as a stand-in; it'll be fine.
Has he?
I just checked when Morgan posted that, and he hasn't.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought there might have
doing
been
some
like.
quick googling.
I thought there might have been like he might have been in one of the comics as like, but like blurred out, so we haven't seen his color scheme. But like, yeah, I don't think he has probably.
He was like sort of dull green in the background, but
Yeah.
that barely counts.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
I do like the look at the shuttle base there, where we see there's enough sort of different coloured plastic and stuff in the landing the caboose to make the landing pad and stuff a very different colour with blue there. In fact, this even to me this sort of reminds me more of the Micromaster shuttle base at this point. As well.
It is. So that's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's representing the is it Countdown? I think it's Countdown.
Yes.
Yeah,
Countdown.
Countdown. So that's
Just
pretty cool.
colour
That someone
scheme
even
alone,
said that. Yeah.
You know, a small little, relatively small little piece of plastic like that folded out in that color scheme actually looks quite convincing. Like, you know, it's a really nice little setup for, you know, not very much plastic.
It has also been pointed out that I think it was Hasbro's Mark Marr, I think, posted on Instagram, or one of the Hasbro designers had said that when they designed the caboose for Astro Train, I don't think they actually realised that they would be able to apply paint to the middle of it and turn it into a helipad. Because that's what they've done in the middle there. There's like a painted in H for a helicopter to land on it. So.
Why not have a helicopter so close to a shuttle? No.
I mean, there's no reason a helicopter can't land right next to the shuttle.
Because
I
they
mean,
can leave as well.
Yeah, I mean, how do you expect the astronauts to get to the shuttle? Like, are they going to walk?
I just like the name Caboose. I just think that's a really cool name.
It's the red caboose. It's cutting loose. So yeah, look. As I said, there's no actual confirmation that this guy's coming to Australia yet. We will try to get that confirmation this week, or hopefully he'll just turn up. At this rate, we'll see. Velocitron's leaders have been extremely well priced at Kmart at $79. It's the cheapest leader class figures that we've seen in a long time. So, frankly, if I see it, I'll probably pick it up simply because it's a nice chunky big figure at a good price. Right. What have we got? What have we got coming up next? Mikey, you were very excited about this one. This is a look from Prime versus Prime. As he tends to do, he's gotten his hands on some new figures well in advance of their release. We are looking at Scraphook and Needlenose from Legacy Evolution. There'll be Wave 1 in 2023, and he's posted up some really fun poses with them that really show what you can do with these figures. There's some fantastic ideas, and there's some really good ideas for connecting pieces up there as well. Yeah.
I was excited at the pictures. I didn't know who was supplying them because I'm not a huge fan of who's supplying them. But he takes a good photo. I'll give him that. But yeah, no, I'm just really excited. A new character. I'm always happy for a new character, especially one that looks like kind of like Hulk Hogan. So
yeah, there's been much made of his face sculpt, saying that his face sculpt looks a lot like Hulk Hogan. I don't necessarily see that myself, but like,
it's just the handlebar, the shape of the head. I don't know. It just if Hulk Hogan had an eye patch, it'd totally be Scrapple. Yeah.
I guess that's the thing. It's the eye patch that's throwing me off.
Probably that's throwing you off. But this looks great. Look at him next to his mates.
I know, it's a nice little family portrait, isn't it?
Yeah. I wish I do wish he was a bit bigger, but you know, that they're incorporating this new Junkion, customizability design and just able to swap out the parts and stuff. So they couldn't really do that as a Voyager.
So there is a Junkion Voyager coming this year as well. We don't really know what. Well, I say there is, but you know, like it's rumored. But there's supposedly 3 deluxe Junkions and 1 Voyager coming over the course of this year. Whether they all combine together or if they're just like lots of extra pieces to stick to other figures, we don't really know. But I don't know.
I'd hazard to
I
say
think
he's
they all look
probably
really
another
good.
bike. I'd hazard to say he's probably another
Yeah,
bike.
Maybe it'll be something else. Either way, like I do think this is really good. There's a lot of detail and there's a lot of really cool parts and colors in his design. Like things have gone together. There's a lot of highlights and there's a lot of paint apps. So it looks like a lot of paint apps, but there's just
like this whole thing of treating
red
a
spots
junkie on
and stuff.
Sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say, like, there's red highlights and spots all over the place. His head appears to be looking out the back of the truck. Just look past that. He's even got hubcaps.
Oh, I hadn't noticed that. That's unfortunate, but okay.
I mean, where else is a junkie on going to stick their head? They may as well carry it around with them, right?
I'm not complaining.
No.
Doesn't really
I think
qualify it.
you're right.
They never really need a disguise anyway.
Yeah, they're hardly a disguise. They're just Mad Max. As Mark said, he says Hulk Hogan looks more like Impactor relocated to the Mad Max cinematic universe. And yes, so he's, so still.
Daria, you were going to say something in there.
No, I think he looks great, and I'm also glad that we've started to move away from basically Junkions just being do-overs of Wreck-Gar.
Yeah, I agree. I think ultimately this is the ultimate realization of what fossilizers and weaponizers and what was the other name for them?
Oh God, what was it?
Whatever they were.
This is really a stroke of genius in terms of just applying Junkions to that concept.
It's
because
100%.
It just doesn't.
It was
look
right there all along.
Compromised,
Yeah.
like the fossilizers were just so clearly built for one thing. And then you go into any Kmart and they've got 10 million of, whatever that Velociraptor thing is called. Because no one cares. Whereas this has shelf presence and looks to have genuine value as a figure in and of itself.
Yeah, exactly, because it can transform by
integrates
itself.
quite nicely.
Yeah, because it can transform by
some
itself. So it's still a transformer,
behind
which
it.
is the best thing. Yeah,
Modulators. That's what they called them in
modulators. Yeah.
Siege or Earthrise called them. It was weird. Yeah.
Yeah,
on screen at the moment, we do have Needle Nose. Possibly Needle Nose suffers by being in the same photo shoot as Scrap Hook because we're so up on Scrap Hook. But also demonstrating at the moment the fact that you can take Scrap Hook apart and clip the parts on. And Prime versus Prime has given Needle Nose like a really nice set of wings here. Goes really well, and then added some extra weapons from the Junkion on there as well, and a nice set of shoes.
Oh, nice pair of shoes to go along.
It's always nice when you can add shoes to Transformers, isn't it?
This is a classic Transformers combining concept. Every super robot just needs platform heels.
Yeah. It's the super mode. And of course, as we can also see here at the moment, he can indeed ride Wreck-Gar.
Perfect.
So look, these we're pretty excited for Scrap Hook. I know Needle Nose has his fans as well. So I think Needle Nose's fans are pretty excited for him as well. I should scroll back up and look at Needle Nose, but I'm just really taken by Scrap Hook. Does anyone have thoughts on Needle Nose? I think the head sculpt there is fantastic. There's apparently some secret about him that's yet to be revealed.
Oh.
I don't know. I feel thoroughly whelmed with Needle Nose.
Whelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just... for whatever reason, I think Needle Nose is a character a lot of people are really looking forward to, myself included. And he just kind of looks fine.
Basic.
He's a robot that folds up under a jet. There's nothing. He doesn't look bad, but he's just yep, that's the bare minimum you could do.
But that's his character. That's what he does. That's his whole thing.
He does the bare minimum.
He's a dude that does a yoga pose with jet bits on his back. So that's what you get.
Well, in that case, they've delivered that in spades.
Well, he's needed a decent robot mode for ages. He's one of those characters you see in the comics and you go, oh, wow, he looks awesome. You go look to track down the toy and you go, oh, okay. So now he finally looks like he's supposed to.
Yeah, and in terms of sort of his generic Decepticon thug pantheon of characters. He's one of the ones that has had more characterization in the fiction, so it is
It's true,
quite
and I
nice
think
to
that's
get
why
a proper
people are
toy of
looking
him.
forward to him. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
even
some
if the
people-
figure isn't quite as good as it could be.
Rob is really looking forward to Needlenose, and also I want to go back. Let's go back to talk about Scraphook a little bit more. Jonathan also says on the idea of the sort of being the ultimate realization of like the fossilizers and the weaponizers. Jonathan does point out that his 5-year-old nephew loves the fossilizers because they're dinosaurs. Which is also kind of the reason I don't like fossilizers, but I'm fine with that, and everyone's welcome to like fossilizers and stuff as much as they like. There's a lot of people who are very into them. They just don't really land for me. What have we got there? Rob also says it will be interesting to see what repaints we get from this Needlenose mold.
Can I ask you guys, do you think Needlenose would have benefited from being possibly a Voyager? Because I feel like there's probably some restrictions for his transformation and everything because he is a deluxe.
Yeah,
and
very much so.
Yeah.
You know,
So
if I
would
think
you-
about a
would you-
character that has a
Yeah.
similar silhouette, like you know, some of the stuff they're able to do with that Voyager Cyclonus in Kingdom, to be able to pull off some similar transformation tricks. Like, yeah, I get
Brilliant
that it's
toy.
accurate to a G1 toy, but it's not really accurate to Needlenose in any actual fiction.
I actually just
So-
realised that Prime versus Prime did not transform Needlenose for this photo
Yeah, I was just
shoot.
about to ask something about.
Yeah, I haven't got his alt
mode.
mode photos. Yeah.
Yeah, and well,
Sorry.
we don't know because it's not there. I mean, Hasbro does end up giving us some weird jets sometimes. I mean, often you get, sometimes they turn out nice. That's cool. Often you get sort of a crunched up robot underneath a plane. And I've realized they've got this other trend in that I think someone at Hasbro is convinced that aeroplanes have backpacks because loads of plane transformers have stuff on the back, which is very rare for actual real aeroplanes.
Maybe it's just that they've been on a lot of double decker jets, and they're like, well, that must be the backpack.
Yeah.
To the question of Voyagers and Needlenose, I don't know if Needlenose has the presence to pull off a Voyager, but also I think he kind of needs to be sort of a similar size to the rest of the bots. But Rob does point out that the budget went towards Tarn and Leo Prime, so that's why Needlenose is ordinary and a deluxe class, and I think that's probably fair enough. If it's a question, if it's a question of those two versus Needlenose as the Voyager, you can have them.
Yep, fair enough.
And yeah, forget that they are more spreading budget across waves rather than individual figures nowadays.
That's actually an interesting point though, because we have seen statements from Hasbro in the past 3 or 4 months saying that they're moving away from like a full wave categorization for things, but then they go and announce this as wave 1. So yeah, it's a little bit confusing. They did.
I think it's
they
like they
did,
technically
however-
have waves, but it's just the way they're shipping things is seems
Yeah.
more freeform.
the
like,
deluxes
think of
and the
all those,
Voyagers seem to ship at different times.
Yeah, like and all those individual like Elita ones that showed up before Wave 2, stuff like that.
That's
And
that's
the
all. That's also true.
Velocitronians are coming out bit by bit, even though they're supposedly in waves.
Also, I like that Velocitronians. The Velocitronians have been in 2 distinct waves.
They
although
have,
the-
but they didn't land all at once in Wave 2. We saw a couple, and then we see Galaxy popping out, and we're hearing a couple
Oh
more
yes,
to come.
yeah. So we haven't seen Voyager Hot Rod turn up at any retailers yet, but you would have to assume that if Galaxy Shuttle is coming out, Hot Rod could not be far behind. Let's move on from Scraphook and Needlenose because we're going to see them a lot more in the next little while. I did sort of allude earlier to actually no, we're gonna jump to a second different story. We're going to talk about Hotshot since we are talking about Legacy Evolution, and we'll come back to the other one because that's kind of a buzzkill. So Mark Marr from Hasbro has posted some pretty awesome photographs of Legacy Evolution Hotshot on his Instagram page, which we've brought up here for everyone to see. And I'm just gonna zoom that in slightly so that we got this. I gotta say, looking at this photo, I'm actually really impressed with what they've done with Hotshot's legs and feet, because he's got big chunky feet and there's a massive tilt on those ankles, and just it all goes together really nicely. And of course, he does have the ability to have that massive cannon on his back as well.
Axle cannon, yeah.
Yeah. So I am less familiar with Hotshot than practically any other figure and most other people on the podcast tonight. So I would like to let other people talk about Hotshot. Who's hot for Hotshot?
I'm smoking hot for hot shot, like,
I'm burning. Yep.
Christ. I'm like,
I'm on fire.
This has gone well.
Fire, boiling.
I am the sun.
Excellent.
Okay, so we've established that basically the entire podcast is a hunker burning love for Hotshot.
Basically, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's a good looking bloke.
He's gorgeous.
He is.
He was another one
Yeah.
for me that you look at some of the art renderings as the character and you go, oh, look at that. And you look at the toy and you go, oh, okay then. But I think now the figure can catch up with some of the character renderings. And
Do you mean the original release of the
Yeah,
toy?
the original. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the Armada one. Yeah, the actual Armada one.
Yeah, I'm just beyond impressed at just how much it looks like, not just the not simply the animation model, but the animation style, if that makes sense. You know, it's that sort of immutable thing. It's hard to describe, but there's a specific curvature to it, a specific sort of slightly off proportions. It just looks like, I don't exactly know how to describe it, but it's matching just the way that cartoon was drawn so perfectly.
Yeah,
Do you
and one of the
think that-
things... Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, do you think that they've learned from the backlash to the Prime RC when it comes to bringing Hotshot into sort of a G1 War for Cybertron style design? Because everyone's looking at this and just going, that totally looks like old Hotshot. So it feels like they've backed off the sort of the stripping down of the individuality of the source line.
I think you're only going to find that
Yeah.
happening. Yeah, you're only going to find that happening with Prime and animated, possibly. Because we know we're eventually going to get animated. Well, you assume after seeing the animated, was it the
Was it Space Bridge?
Space Bridge.
Yeah.
The animated Space Bridge in the background of the poster. So I can assume that we're not going to get animated looking or animated-esque figures in this series. We're going to get more G1ified versions of animated things. So, but the thing is, you don't really need to do that to Armada designs because they're already very blocky and chunky. So there's not much G1ifying you can do to it.
Yeah,
Armada, in the same vein as RID before it, often it feels kind of like, none of the designs are the same as G1, but it feels like the same art style. You know what I mean? It's like you could transplant any character from Armada or any character from G1 and vice versa, and it would, I don't think they'd look out of place.
No, agreed. Yeah.
I was just noticing one of the things, this goes off what Jason said, looking at Hotshot's legs, is I've remembered one of the things that was very common amongst Armada figures and characters now and again was that one or the other, or occasionally both, sets of their limbs tended to be rather chunky. And I think we're seeing that with Hotshot's calves here. And that's because it's not being completely ridiculous, it's satisfyingly evoking that artistic ethic, but still being, oh, that's a figure you can pose and transform and look at and stuff.
Do you know what I'm also noticing in this shot? This is me being not very familiar with Hotshot and looking at all of the other stuff. Mark's got a nice little e-hobby Autobot sign in the background there as well. And it's just compelled me to go to the e-hobby website and see whether I can buy any of them. And no, they are all out of stock. So thanks.
Can I just say something on Mark? I've been following him through. There's other podcasts I listen to that they absolutely love him. And I think there's two podcasts.
I think everyone loves him. At
I don't know
this point.
someone who doesn't like Mark Lonas. we are incredibly lucky to have someone that has such passion for the franchise, and not only does he work for Hasbro, but he absolutely loves everything he does, and he loves his job, and he's the one. I can pretty much guarantee you, he's the one that probably pitched the idea of Galaxy Shuttle. He probably pulled it out and just said, "Hey, look, you need to revamp Astro Train. Why don't we have this obscure character?" Because he knows he's a fan. So we're really lucky that we've got such a big fan as Mark in our corner, and he's helping us produce stuff like this. And he's so passionate that he releases these cool photos, not just stock standard photos. He poses them up. He puts them in different poses. He shows off all the figures, what the figure can do. And yeah, he's just the coolest dude. And I think as a fandom, we're really lucky to have someone that's so dedicated to the cause as Mark is.
Yeah, especially in a company like Hasbro, where it's sort of a lot of the comms that come from Hasbro and the press releases often feel quite corporate and cynical. And even in the supposed even in the sort of fan engagement kind of space, some aspects of Hasbro, like I listened to the Marvel Legends team talk on the Hasbro Pulse stream, and I just want to scream, please, just shut up, just stop. Like it's just so manufactured. But here, like Transformers, especially over the past couple of years with people like Mark, has there's a sort of a genuine passion that comes through. Like the people that are making these actually really do seem to care. And I think it shows in the product.
Yeah, I think 100%. It does. I also think that this is very much the Transformers team playing catch up with where the rest of the industry is, though. And in many ways, it's Hasbro playing catch up and starting to actually forge more of a relationship with their fans instead of just sort of sitting on high and releasing products and just going, well, there you go. I think it's really good to actually have people who are on the team getting out there on socials and interacting with people, not necessarily just in live streams and the like. And despite what you say about the Marvel Legends team, I know the Marvel Legends team do get out there and post some cool photos of their products. They do interact with people on Instagram and the like as well. It is kind of funny that Hasbro itself seems to avoid Twitter, but I mean, at least they've chosen a social media presence in Instagram. It's very image centric, so that's a perfect place to show off their wares. And as you can see, like over time, the guys are working out how to write sort of long form content and post it on Instagram. It also helps that, as you can see on my screen, you can log into Instagram on the web and post your photos now instead of having to do it all from your phone. So I think it's. I think it's really good that they're doing this, but I also think it's well overdue because other brands have been doing this for a long time. So in many ways, it's just playing catch up. But it's good that we have people who are involved with the brand and the product and the planning. And to be perfectly honest, I don't really know what extent Mark is involved to all of these different functions. But it's really good to have someone who actually, as you said, Mikey, is in our corner and a fan of these things, and then wanting to advocate for fans in the product marketing decisions, and also then go out and speak to us as well. It is a rare mix to actually find this in exactly these proportions that we so enjoy.
And also to speak of Hasbro here in Australia, it's cool to also see them coming and interacting with us and seeing that actually, those people care as well. So it's awesome to see, they actually do really care, which is good, and I'm happy with that as well.
That's right. There's a lot of people who work at Hasbro who are fans of the product as well, and it's really easy to criticize Hasbro as like a big nameless and faceless corporation, but every big corporation has a bunch of people who work there, and it's the people that make it.
But yeah, right. Hotshot, unbelievably excited. And there's this one cool photo, and something that Hotshot's never done before, or had before. If you keep going, there's a specific photo. Keep going. I hope it's here. Keep going. There you go. He can undersling his axle cannon, which is really cool. He can
double hand it as well. Look at that.
Well, so apparently, I think the thing that he's actually holding onto is his gun, and then the gun connects to the axle cannon, and then he can create a really cool underslung gun. So they've really gone above and beyond with this guy. Can I ask you, Jason, how have you found Armada Starscream?
Oh, I love him. He's sitting on my desk right in front of me here, and like, well might I say that like I'm 5 pixels on the top left of the screen, but well might I say that I don't really know much about this era of toys, but I did have actually, it wasn't Armada. I did have Energon Starscream, and I've got the BotCon Leozak repaint of that mold. So like, I'm familiar with some figures from around here, and I know, like, so I guess, you know, Armada and Energon are not the same thing, but they are kind of related. But yeah, no, I really love this Armada mold. I do have the subscription service Ramjet up on the shelves behind me as well, so I'm a little bit familiar with the original mold. But yeah.
Well, I was about to say, I'm hoping you like it, because I'm pretty sure we're going to see a whole hell of a lot more of those Starscreams as Ramjet, Skywarp, Thundercracker.
I think we are as well.
Once we get that blue Unicron Battles era version, the Thundercracker version,
that is.
Did you remember
design.
the
Sorry, do you mean Super Starscream?
Super Starscream, yeah. Whatever name they decide to give it. Do you remember the first Rude version of that? It was in the Takara Legends line, and it was just covered in this glossy blue paint, and it was the most like just gorgeous looking figure. It's such a perfect color scheme on that mold.
It's a great color scheme, and I love in the show. It's just like, as you said, Jason, his name is technically Super Starscream, but like he looks in a mirror or something. He's like, I look like Thundercracker, and
that's the only mentioned Thundercracker.
Of Thundercracker in the whole
name not mentioned before or since in the show.
Yeah.
No, of course, but like he looks like
whoever
him,
he is, he looks like Starscream.
There you go. But no, that is a great design. So yeah, we're gonna like it. I'm glad we've got that. I'm glad the mold is great. I'm glad you like it.
Look, I haven't really heard anyone say anything bad about it. I've seen a few people break theirs out and have a bit of a play with them. I think it's fantastic. It's really versatile. The shoulder cannons are awesome. They're blast effect compatible. He's got the Star Saber sword. The
fact that they fit a waist swivel into that thing. You know,
they're not. I feel like they're not going to release a Seeker without a waist swivel after the reaction to the last one.
Yeah, but on that design specifically, where it was a bit of an impediment there, and him being a swordsman as well, it's kind of it's an important.
That's the only
just
thing,
little things like that.
That's the only thing that disappoints me about that mold is he doesn't have a removable wing sword. But as Jason actually, so when Jason firstly opened this thing, I'm just like, hey, is there any way for you to remove that wing without damaging the toy? And he removed it. So hopefully we'll have a third-party company come up with a... Yeah, so Jason's confirmed it. Hopefully we'll get a third-party company coming up with a wing sword, because I really, really, really like the wing sword, and the sword that
a wing sword and a larger Star Saber as well.
Oh, look, even an actual Minicon team that can combine into a Star Saber, that'd be great. Or just
wouldn't the original Minicon team have a 5mm port to hold them?
It does. Yeah, I actually...
there we go.
So I have the Decepticon Star Saber version of Minicons.
And I do feel like it would fall over holding them though.
He doesn't really hold it, but I've got the Fans Hobby Megatron, and I've got it loosely in his hand, resting on his cannon underslung, and he looks really cool holding it. So, yeah, I might have to give that to Starscream when he comes in. But yeah, that's the only real thing. Like they almost had it perfect with Starscream, because they did everything perfectly with Hotshot. But they're just missing that one key character defining thing, and that was the wing sword.
Yeah, it's true. Look, the wings are just attached with mushroom pegs, so they could definitely come off. I think you should go and start sending a few emails to people like Shockwave's Lab and the like, and see what what the likelihood of them creating something to sit in there actually is. Maybe have a chat with Non-F as well and see.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be really interesting to see people do that. And then sort of getting some paint applications or repro labels onto them as well, because there is a color scheme to those wings as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on. There is one other thing that has also created a massive stir in the last week or so. It is this image that is on screen, which is the buzzworthy Earth Mode Hound. Finally, we're getting an Earth Mode Hound. It is in a buzzworthy exclusive pack, which is likely to shit everyone. And there's also a Dark of the Moon figure as well.
He's so ugly. It's so bad.
Do you know what? So okay, so what we've got,
There's no budget on that thing. It's
No,
well,
it's shocking.
I'm not sure that I agree. So what we have is Hatchet, who is another one of the dreads from Dark of the Moon. We've seen Crowbar and
Crankcase.
Yeah. So they were the dreads from Dark of the Moon. So this guy goes with them. So if you've got those first two, you're probably going to get Hatchet to go with them. Mm-hmm. Whether this guy is a repaint or a retool, like I'm pretty sure that he's a decent retool because he does sort of sit on all fours quite nicely. I think that also colours the fact that people are willing to go for Hatchet because they want a set. Never underestimate the likelihood of Transformers fans to go for a set of something, and when it comes to sales, so I've seen more people than I thought would be into Hatchet. Wanting to locate it when it comes out. We don't really know when it's coming out. These images were found on a distributor's website attached to the listing for the previous Buzzworthy Deluxe crate, which included Cliff Jumper, Cup, and B127. So there's been an assumption made from people that those three are coming back along with these two in a new wave. Now, given the number of cups that are around sitting on store shelves around the world, I think that's a phenomenally bad idea to repack all of those figures. Same thing for B127. Cliff Jumper, I could definitely see them bringing back Cliff Jumper because he was short packed in the original wave. But I also just think maybe these guys are actually going to be just individual releases, and that image found its way there by mistake. Let's talk about the dude on the right, the Earth Mode Hound. He is a retool of Siege Hound, and I think that's A-OK because that was a pretty kick-ass figure already, and he was also really close to already being just a Jeep that you would find on Earth. So nothing's wrong with him being a retool. Colors look ace, head sculpt looks ace, just really totally in for this figure, and there's a lot of people who are in for him as well. If he's a part of an assorted wave that's exclusive to one store in the States, there will be a revolt in the fandom, I think. Word is that there will be solid crates. Yeah, so like he's not going to be another Cosmos. He won't be short packed. Like they're not that stupid. But there's enough evidence that for this year's Buzzworthy releases that have come in solid crates. So I think people will be able to get this guy fairly easily. They might have to import them. We don't really know about an Australian release because this hasn't actually officially been announced. So we can't really go to Hasbro and go, hey, can you give us release information for this thing that hasn't been announced yet? But we'll see what happens when we actually do get an announcement. So yeah, Earth Mode Hound, very there for it. It does make another Buzzworthy exclusive entrant into the Studio Series 86 line.
Yeah, look, Hound looks good. I'm just hoping that this angle of Hatchet's just a really poor angle because it's not really doing anything for me. This one, but
Sorry,
I am happy.
What was the angle?
This angle of Hatchet.
So for Hatchet. Oh right, yes.
Yeah. So the angle. So I don't know. It's just the way it's photographed at the moment. I know. I don't even know. They released one of the dreads. I know through this. I think it was Crankcase, and Crowbar was technically Dreadbot from the previous line in the last movie, whatever that was that we don't talk about.
Yeah, I think he was brought forward from one of the previous toy lines, wasn't he?
Yeah. So this will be. So I'm glad.
Retols of the same mold.
I'm pretty sure they are.
Yeah, and this guy looks to be the same thing as well.
This guy's a shell, but I think they may have retooled some of his parts so that he sort of walks more on all fours.
Yeah, so look, I'm happy for people. Like when I did collect Studio Series, I was really wanting a Hatchet. I hope he's good. You know, he looks interesting from this angle. But who knows? It could be a really good toy when we see anything other than this.
It's true. It does
So-
need to be pointed out that we are looking at a render, so different things.
Yeah, it
pop,
doesn't-
Different
yeah, you
things
can
pop differently.
Yeah, it's going to look different under different light. So, yeah, I'm hopeful that this is good and that you can finally have the trio. And I think you'll almost have everyone from Dark of the Moon by then. So that's pretty cool. Other than those random robots that go around absolutely obliterating humans.
You mean Decepticons?
No, like that Cloverfield bot. Like I'd love to see that. Like there was this big like tank dude that turned into like the Cloverfield monster. I doubt we'll ever see that, but that would be pretty interesting to see.
I just double checked, sorry, and it's Crowbar was an extensive retool of Berserker, and then Crankcase was a straight repaint of Crowbar.
So were they all in the
Yeah,
Pseudo
so
Series
you're,
line?
you're right. This is actually the fourth Dread, isn't it? Not the third one.
Well, I think
well,
Berserker wasn't technically a Dread.
no, he's his
He
own
was
guy.
in the last night. But
Right.
But there was supposed to be a
I've blocked
full
that
set
out
of
so much.
dreads.
Yeah,
that
I
were
was about
cut
to say.
from- There was supposed to be like a full set of 5 more dreads that were cut from the last night, and only
There were
Berserker made it
5.
in.
Really?
No, yeah, 5 that were cut from the movie,
Oh.
including they were like anarchist themed, and it's always Josh and Izzy concept art. It's really really cool.
Well, I mean,
But
the
like
only thing
most
we got
really
from-
cool things with those movies, they were cut.
the best part of the last night was the end credits, but the only thing I remember from Dreadbot was that one scene where he's just like strapped in the what was it, Silence of the Lambs get up, and he's just like they take his mouth plate off, and then he just starts swearing or something. That's all I remember from that scene. It's not very-
That was
it's-
Berserker.
Was he-
Dreadbot was a different guy who wasn't.
Oh
who
no,
wasn't-
Dreadbot was the
Dreadbot was a completely different potty-mouthed robot.
But yeah, so he was
Combi van,
he was the
wasn't he?
same model, but without the actual dreads.
Was
Right.
Berserker the one who implied
like,
he'd
this
had
is-
one of the Nest guy's wives?
no, that was
Nitro Zeus.
That was
Nitro
yeah.
Zeus.
Berserker was
Of
the one who
course,
said
yeah.
who said. I'm pretty
I'll
sure
eat
he
your
said-
brains.
Hang on, can
Yeah.
we go back to where Dario said, "Oh, of course"? How does it being Nitro Zeus make it? Oh, of course.
Because the weird notion of him proxy hitting on the guard's wife, I've relinked it with the frankly random name that is Nitro Zeus.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, that
Screwdrivers, really.
that was in fact one of the most unexpected laughs of the movie. But
That
yeah.
was the only laugh for me. So the only good
All
thing
right.
about that movie.
While we do have you there, Dario, because we have spoken a lot about this, but we haven't heard from yourself. What do you think of Hatchet and Hound?
I'll take them in from left to right just because they're on the screen that way. I honestly don't remember the dreads from the films at all.
No, I've blocked
Hatchet
them
and
out.
Friends.
No.
They were in one of the better scenes.
I was about to
It's,
say that was the best
it's
scene
got
of
that-
Dark of the Moon.
It's got that incredible Steve Jablonsky score.
Yes,
Right,
highway
It's
battle.
not it. Yeah, it's not. It's our fight. It's No, it might be actually. It's one of those ones that's sort of the main motif of the film, and it's like it's just it's scene of like these random generic characters getting blown up and like it's just running down the highway. But it's like it's the greatest scene in the entire film. Purely,
It's pretty good.
It's well shot and everything, but it's just the score is like, it feels like God is coming down from the heavens and you're going to kill God. It's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard. It's incredible.
I'm,
It's,
however, still with Daria. I don't remember them.
It's
Yeah.
technically
Where I was gonna-
those.
Where I was
Yeah.
going to go with that though is it means I'm kind of seeing Hatchet in isolation here, almost as though it were the first time, which means I kind of like the idea of this sort of bestial transformer that's sort of built like a proper beast and transforms into a vehicle, and it's not a robot. It's not a. It looks like an actual beast. It doesn't look like a sort of sapient cartoon animal beast as a lot of the beast formers are. It looks like, these are these are the feral guard dogs and such with him on all fours and with the huge tusk things, and I'm kind of liking that difference. As for Hound, looks great. Looks like Hound. I think it's one of those. Yep, you got it. You nailed it. That's Hound. Can't fault you there.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have that much to say about Hound other than finally.
But it's the story of a lot of Transformers the past couple of years. So it's like, yep, that's the character, and it looks like everything you could want. Like I struggle to find fault with it, but by the same token, it's hard to say anything too interesting other than like, yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, it's
true.
so right to sort of know where to go with it.
Yeah.
Intrigued to see the vehicle mode.
Yeah.
Actually, for
I'm
both of them.
also looking forward to seeing the vehicle mode. Yeah. Right. Okay. We are running close to an hour runtime. I want to bring up one other story because I think that this does ignite a few passions, which is Hasbro's share price. We'll cut away from the toys and let's talk shop for a minute. Hasbro's share price has hit the floor this week with the revelation that the company has dropped $3 billion in 5 months' time of its net worth. It was worth $12.37 billion. Now it's $9.07 billion. Those are US dollars, of course. And Hasbro is saying that sales are down, and they are putting the blame for that on, quote, increasing price sensitivity for the average consumer, which is kind of a double speak of saying that people are buying less because they cost more. Now, what I wanted to ask here is, like, how do you guys feel about the cost prices, the price hikes that we've been seeing in Transformers over the last year? It's been happening in all of the lines. The Marvel Legends and Black Series collectors are freaking out at just how much the prices have gone up. Where the common price point for Marvel Legends used to be about $39 to $40, there's now figures that are sort of hitting the $55, $60 mark. Like
Well, you're paying for Marvel Legends
so
now
much.
what you would have paid for the figure arts equivalent a few years back.
That's true, and like I know that they are investing in R&D and they are actually making the figures better. But a price rise is still a price rise, and so we have seen this with Transformers figures as well. Although I think in general Australian retailers have been keeping a fairly good lid on price rises. Like we've had the core range hold steady at about 20, but if you get them as soon as they come out, they might be 23. Deluxes are kind of all over the shop between $29 or $30 and $40, and even going up to $45. Voyagers are $50 to $60 to $65, and the leaders are $90 to $100 to $115 now. It depends where you go, and I think we've talked about sort of the stratifying of Australian retail before. So if you want the figure first and you want to get it as soon as it's released and want to get a guaranteed pre-order in for it, you'll go to EB Games or JB Hi-Fi and you'll pay that slightly higher price for it, or you'll take your chance at retail where the price is going to be lower, but it may not come out, or it'll come out very late. We are seeing Legacy Wave 2 has hit Big W stores at long last this week. And so that's a good example of, you could have gone to JB Hi-Fi and bought these figures and paid $39 or $45. And in fact, I think they're $39 at Big W now as well. So they haven't been keeping those prices down. But also at the same time, we said earlier that Velocitron, the leader for Velocitron was $79. The G2 Universe Scourge. Velocitron had really good price points at Kmart. They were $35 for deluxes, $50 for Voyagers, and $79 for leaders. I don't know whether or not that's going to hold on for whatever they do next year. But how do the rising prices of toys affect your purchasing your purchasing power? Like, well, not your purchasing power, but your purchasing decisions. Someone please jump
It doesn't.
in.
It hasn't affected anything in the context of Hasbro specifically, because I feel like Hasbro, in comparison to like a lot of import companies and stuff, hasn't actually gone up quite as dramatically, at least in Australian retail. I think obviously it has risen, but I feel like the quality across all their lines has risen proportionately. So it's not, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's kind of like I would pay more for this figure because it is better. But I will say I am buying less on the whole because everything is more expensive. It's like we can point the finger and say, okay, well, these Transformers are more expensive and we're buying less of them. But realistic, like, so's everything else. It's it is just kind of like, well, everything in life is more expensive. We're in the middle of a global economic downturn, and wages aren't keeping up. If you're going to drop your spending somewhere, like, I'm not going to drop spending on keeping my car functional. I'm not going to drop spending on food. I'm going to drop spending on Transformers. So
it's going to be toys. It's going to be luxury items that go, right?
Yeah, it's. I don't think it's a real. Yeah, it's not emblematic of a specific problem with Hasbro or with the hobby. It's just, this is what happens at times like these.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying about, the quality gets better, like the $50 figure is now $60, but it's got much better engineering. But if you've only got $50, that doesn't make any difference.
That's true.
It's not going to buy it no matter how good it is. So I think
price rise is a price rise.
Yeah, I think especially to collectors on a tighter budget, some of them just going, well, I was going to buy that figure for X amount. Turns out it costs X plus 1. I don't have X plus 1. I'm not getting the figure. And most of the figures I've bought in recent history, I'd say most, not even been that many, which is pretty much fitting in with what Max said. But what I have bought tends to have been mostly under some kind of discount or sale or lucky grab or something. I've bought very few at the standard full price for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's fair enough too, and that does actually go to one of the comments that Rob made as well, which is it pays to shop around and keep an eye out for online sales. If you are in, we know JB Hi-Fi price matches like a mofo, but if you're in any store and you see something you want to buy, just open up your phone, Google it, see if there's a cheaper price on it somewhere, and see if you'll get them to price match. And if they won't price match, then consider going to that other store and just picking it up there as well.
So for me, it's become a trend for basically for Titans. I've convinced myself that I am actually going to probably be going to get the new Metroplex that's coming out from the Cybertron Metroplex. But what I haven't convinced myself of is paying $300, $400 for it. And we all know with Titans, it's just inevitable that they come down in cost like a couple of months down the line. So, and it's also comes to the fact of, if it doesn't come down to a price I'm happy to pay for it, like it's a figure that I'm not gonna lose sleep over if I don't get it. So that's how I feel about Titans and like the top tier expensive figures. One of my acquisitions today, I think this was the first time in a long time, at least, that I've actually paid $40 for a deluxe. And that was quite disheartening. But I've got to just... I'm not a completionist, so I'm not going to go complete all the lines. So if I was a completionist and I was paying $40 for a deluxe, $60 for a Voyager, and however much you want for a leader, I wouldn't be happy. But I'm a bits of this, bits of that collector. I'm basically just getting what I want. Like, so at the moment, I'm just getting, basically everything is not G1 because I feel like I'm representing that in Masterpiece. So yeah, I'm not like, I wish, as Max said, the world's as it is at the moment. So, I've kind of come to accept it, and the fact, that I only buy little bits here and there, it doesn't really bother me a whole lot. But yeah, it's not ideal, but it's just the world we live in, and The quality doesn't seem to be going down. I don't think the figures have been pretty good. So if we're keeping to the quality of the figures, and the price goes up, I'm hoping. I know from other podcasts that I've listened to, I think we're going to see yet more increases in the prices of these classes of figures. I'm not looking forward to the day when we're going to be paying $45 to $50 for a deluxe. That'll really suck. I'll be honest. And then what does that mean? A Voyager is going to cost $80, and then a Elite what, $150? I'd hate to think what Titans and Commanders are going to cost. But unfortunately, that's just the world we live in, and yeah, I'm going to keep paying it because I love the franchise, and as long as I can afford it. Obviously, you're not going to, as Max said, you're not going to put your eating or your life expenses over, Transformers over that. But I can see where, they've lost a lot of money because people are just like, hey, look, close to $40 for a deluxe. Like a parent seeing that, saying, oh well, maybe I'll just get like the smaller figure, or they can.
We'll buy the smaller.
There
one,
isn't really that impulse
knockoffs.
purchase kind of mentality anymore.
No,
Like, which is both because of the increased prices and also people just have less disposable income. So
I do think you're right. I think there's going to be more price rises coming. The reason I think you're right is because at the beginning of this year, Hasbro's current CEO, when he was first, I think during his first presentation to shareholders, he said that he intends to increase the company's profits by 50%. He's basically done the opposite over the last year. If you look at these graphs, like that is not a 50% increase on profits. So if he's still looking to drive up profits,
is he holding the graph upside down?
Oh,
so 50, like I don't know what he was trying to do there. Like 50% increase in profits in a single year. That's
bold,
enormous.
I'm not sure that it's a single. I'm not sure that it's a goal to do it in a single year, but it is a goal. I've had a couple of discussions with people this week about this because this news has sort of come around and reverberated around the space. It's definitely not the same. It's definitely not the case. I saw one YouTube video saying, "Oh my God, Hasbro's going bankrupt." I'm like, well, no, it's not. It's definitely not that. But there's definitely changes going to be afoot if the company has sort of less capital to splash around. We have already seen a wave of redundancies go through, and the Transformers team has been spared from that. There's also word, like there's some wild rumors out there that like the board game division is going to go and they're just going to outsource board games, and like that's a massive change for Hasbro historically of that, how that company's done business, especially in board games. But I feel like we're all sort of of a certain age and above where sort of the relevance of board games to our lives is reduced, and so we sort of look at it and go, well, maybe that's the case. Maybe they will outsource those things. How many people do they really need working on Monopoly? Although that Beast Wars Monopoly has just come out as well.
Oh, I really want that.
Oh, it's $85. You were talking about price rises. Do you want to pay $85 for it, or would you rather pay $50 or $60?
I'm going to wait.
Going to wait for that sale. And that's the thing. A lot of us end up waiting for the sales, but like we've also just looked at new and upcoming figures and just gone, yep, I'm going to buy that. Yep, I'm going to buy that. No, I'm not going to buy that. And so, I mean, we're all potentially, sort of in our own little bubble where maybe we're not that sensitive to prices, but we'll take umbrage at it for people who might be. And I certainly look at things and I was like, yeah, I want that figure. And I'm fortunate enough to at least, as of right now, at least be gainfully employed in a position that actually affords me a bit of money to splash around as some discretionary stuff for luxury items. And I think we said it earlier, like luxury items are often the first to go in an economic downturn, and so. I'm also fortunate in that I'm not a completionist collector like Mikey. Like, I'm not the kind of person who looks at an entire wave and just goes, "I got to buy all of those." So, like, I'm probably not going to get. Who am I not going? God, who am I not going to get from Wave?
You have the thing is you have to think of
they're all pretty.
you're
They're all
not gonna
pretty
get.
good.
I know.
I'm probably not going to get Leo Prime from Wave 1, and also thankfully
Yeah.
there's no leader in Wave 1 as well. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It is interesting, but yeah. So yeah, Mark says board games are supposedly making a comeback this Christmas. That might be in the UK where they can't afford electricity to run any of their video games. So that's I saw. I don't know, Mikey. You and I are both on the Triple Takeover Discord. I saw someone
sir.
post their power bill in there today, and like their electricity bill has run up £16 in 2 days.
God.
That's astonishing.
That's horrible.
Yeah. Goodness me. So yeah, that's that. If there's a comeback for board games this Christmas, I think it's purely going to be based on electricity prices and the fact that you can play them by candlelight.
Yeah, look, we can, I think we're quite, morose about economic downturn here and all that kind of form Transformers, but, at least we can take solace in the fact that we're not the UK.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Let's just
we're on our way.
Give it a year, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, look, enough doom and gloom. I think that's enough. That's enough news and down discussions. Let's talk about some fun stuff. I'm going to kick out the screen share and bring us back to a 4-up. Let's talk about some acquisitions. Max, you've got a few acquisitions. I think I might throw to yourself first. And
Max positions.
Righto.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
let's. That's right, Jason. Let's start official. I don't know if anyone else picked this up. So that's the Wreck and Roll bulkhead.
Hey.
From the,
he is here, but he's still in his box.
So I hadn't touched
Wreck and Roll bulkhead. Yeah.
The Wave 1 version, because I think by the time Wave 1 hit here, this had already been announced. And he's in terms of a big point of discussion with him early on was. This is sort of marrying the two concepts of his, prime/animated bulkhead and, movie hound, which is kind of just bulkhead. And this one with the different deco, like the camouflage and everything, is really driving that home. It's an interesting figure actually. It's for what's sort of just a blocky truck, right? It doesn't transform at all how I expected it to. Like, the way things fold inside the chest, it's all a little bit off. It's not bad. It's just there's this very specific order of operations that sort of threw me a bit. Otherwise, like it's plenty posable, beautiful, like really solid feel, build quality. One thing that's kind of a shame is he has this gorgeous camouflage deco around the chest and on the shield/battering ram thing here. But because the chest is entirely clear plastic, just all the paint budget went to this chest, so none of that deco appears on the rest of the figure at all.
Well, so like the legs and camo are all tucked away in truck mode, so they don't need the camo, right?
No, but you kind of want it in robot mode. Like it's there, but
it's a bit inconsistent.
These big swaths of green on the limbs that are just sort of absent. But like there isn't. Yeah, honestly, there isn't a huge amount to say about him. He is like a fairly quintessential Voyager feeling figure. Does a couple of neat tricks. The accessories are a real gem. Just like having the wrecking ball clamp around his fist, and then including Breakdown's hammer from Prime as an accessory.
Yeah, the hammer's a great addition with this version as well. And like the hammer also goes well with sort of the idea of the wreckers in general. But yeah, that's I actually no longer have my original Legacy bulkhead. I sold it to someone because I knew that I had this version coming, and you've just reminded me why with the hammer as well. The hammer's a fantastic accessory. I also do want to point out Rob Franklin has been posting some fantastic photos of this version of bulkhead in the TCCA Facebook group. So yeah, and as Rob says, I've had a lot of fun posing this version of bulkhead.
Yeah, it's a great. It is just a fun figure, like just the way we accessory integrate, and then he's really nicely posable. So, and the proportions of him mean that he's not like he's a big guy, but he just looks beefy rather than looking like John Goodman.
Yeah, I feel like he's built rather than fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other really pleasant surprise was this sort of shield accessory. I first looking at pictures of this thing and early coverage, I thought it looked like a bit of a cop out because it was kind of just like, oh, I got the back of a truck. Well, we can't make it fit into a transformation. We'll just have it fall off and form a shield. But actually, it's like you can plug this onto his back here, and it just stays there, nice and snug for the entire transformation. Perfect, conversion. Like, it doesn't need to be removed at all. So it can just be back kibble, and that's it. But otherwise, it's got a whole bunch of different configurations. So you can have it as a battering ram, shield, pile driver, all sorts of
actually,
stuff.
I actually really like the fact that you've sort of got it configured as a battering ram there, because I didn't think about that at all. Like
it works
sort of
really nicely
placed it
with
as a
this little
shield.
hinge there.
Yeah.
With the hinge that the peg mounts on, it just works nice. It's like an underslung thing.
Yeah.
It's just this. Yeah, it's a real nice combination. But it's mostly the fact that it is integrated into the transformation without needing the parts form. It's made me really go like, okay, this isn't a cop out. This isn't them missing something at the end. This is an intended feature. This is part of a design process. This is what they were going for with the figure, and it really shows. I don't know. Do we want to? I guess I'll just keep going. Does anyone?
Maybe let's do one.
Should we
more.
rotate between people?
No, we'll do yours. We'll just do one more. You've got a couple of things listed.
Yeah. Right.
Let's go for whatever's in your hand.
Whatever's in my hand. So, has anyone picked up New Age stuff before?
Definitely.
So, I'd entirely I'd looked at them from afar and gone, "That's impressive," but it's just been entirely G1, so I hadn't bothered because, if I want G1 stuff, I can just buy the mainline. Then I saw this IDW Cyclonus they did, which is a slight retool of their regular G1 Cyclonus, and figured, well, got to have that. And yeah, I'd see what the hype's about.
They are really great little masterpiece figures. Like they're just fantastic.
What really gets me is that as a figure itself, right? It's beautifully posable, incredibly clever transformation. Sculpt and detail is just dead on, no kibble to speak of. Everything's solid. It's just beautiful, smooth joints. This gorgeous glossy paint over the whole thing. As a figure, it's incredible. But it's also just what they're doing with it, in that it is they're doing where third party nowadays is, quite often feels like everything is just G1 style masterpieces over and over again. And this is this is G1, and it's a masterpiece style, but it's very much it's their own aesthetic, and it's not Legends scale. It's an entirely unique scale. So it's sort of it's playing with this thing that everyone's doing at the moment. It's all it's whereas there's this massive swathe of third party G1 stuff at the moment, but it's not it's still just by the virtue of the way it transforms, the paint, and just the scale of it. The fact that the scale is entirely unique. It's kind of them going, okay, well, we're going to do this same thing, but we're going to do it slightly differently. So here's our take on the G1 Transformers, and they're going to be as accurate as you could possibly want, but it's still our own thing. And it's this really, just this really nice little way of setting themselves apart from the competition. It's just really impressive.
I agree. They are fantastic. While you've been talking, I've been looking around my desk to see where all my New Age figures have gone, and I've got 4 New Age figures on my desk at the moment. Mainly because they've just been sort of lying around. I'm gonna put myself up for a minute as well, since we're talking about these guys. I've got New Age Jazz. There was a time where I carried him around with me everywhere, and I'd take little photos of him at in meeting rooms, in cafes, and stuff like that. If I do sort of get back to traveling on a regular basis, I'll probably start doing that again, because He's really cute, and his face design means that you can sort of map any emotions onto him that you really want to. And same thing works with their Bumblebee as well. I've got their Soundwave here as well.
No.
Absolutely fantastic figure. There's a lot of people who are great fans of their Seeker mold. So there's a Starscream here as well. I gotta say, I'm not as taken with their Seekers as everyone else, but like I actually find that I think the heel design leaves a little bit to be desired in terms of balance and posability. But the other one that I've got that's absolutely incredible is their Galvatron. He just looks phenomenal, and Galvatron actually turned up in my house on the same day as Fans Toys Sovereign, and it's amazing. Just they both echo each other in terms of articulation and posability. It was fantastic. I'm going to put you back up, Max.
Yeah, sorry. It's just when you talk about the comparison of Sovereign, which obviously Sovereign's not an official masterpiece, but it is a masterpiece alike. And when I compare this to other masterpiece alikes, and coverage I've seen of the third-party masterpiece Cyclone Eye, it's kind of like, well,
Cyclonus is sorry.
Okay, it is like it's doing everything you could want. Like it's so much simpler. It's there's no bullshit associated with it. It's not 10 million little panels to fold around, no spaghetti engineering, no accessories you're not really after. It's like it just is Cyclonus, and that's that. And it looks like a masterpiece. And it's I'm looking at this and I'm going, what's the deal with all these third-party companies that are throwing out these things of spaghetti engineering? What's going on with Takara nowadays where it's $500 and the thing takes an hour to transform? Where you've got something like this and it just does everything it needs to. Like, you could scale this up to masterpiece size and it'd fit in perfectly. It's just, there's a precision to it, a deliberateness. Where it's like someone's really just gone, what's the most efficient way we can make this do everything it could possibly need to, and then it does it.
Everyone, let it be known that on this day, October 20th, 2022, Max has discovered New Age.
I have discovered New Age. I just need to make less G1 figures and more other things.
Yeah, they definitely are very heavy on the G1s.
I wouldn't mind a just some Maximals and Predacons at that scale. And then you could have them somewhat in scale with your masterpieces.
Just give it another couple of years of budget cuts on the line, and your Deluxes will be this size. Max Mikey. I think. Sorry, Daria. You said you don't have any acquisitions to talk about.
Oh,
wait a second.
I have a quickie because basically I forgot I'd ordered it, let alone it had come. And I spotted it while we were speaking. So straight out of the shipping box is Override or Nitro Convoy if you're in that kind of mood.
Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. So do you fancy giving us a live unboxing, knowing what I think of how we should unbox these things?
Oh, well, I don't know how you think we should unbox these things because you referred to it by a name that I didn't know.
Well, what you do is you get a lighter and you just wait for the toy to fall into your hand.
I'm going to put up an item on the screen share that illustrates this, because this does speak to one of my acquisitions, which is Legacy Minerva, and as we've come to refer to it around TCC as the Basher method of unboxing, which
it looks like she's escaped.
I know. Like someone better get after her. The Basher method of unboxing, which just sees you rip right through that box.
I can demonstrate that.
Yeah, I know you can. We're gonna get to yours in a minute.
That would be a lot easier. Oh well.
I know, and especially because these boxes just go straight into the recycling. Like,
it's a great tragedy of modern boxes. The best box art I've had for years. They're really beautifully put together. Like, it's a set of boxes that I would keep, but they're entirely cardboard, so I can throw them out, and it's no worries at all.
They can definitely go straight into the recycling.
Yeah,
Like, if it's a collector's box, I won't do it. But like for regular retail stuff, it is not staying in my house.
Yeah, for the most part, the only boxes I've kept have been ones that I actually have a use for as a box.
I saw
For
I saw a thing a
example-
while ago of when you know when you're an adult because you receive a box in the mail that contains an item and you look at it and you just go, that's a really nice box.
Yeah, well, my home office here, the keyboard prop sags in the middle because I don't know, it's cheap. So there's actually a few. This is where that weird shape of the War for Cybertron boxes comes in handy because they nicely interlock to stack and hold everything up.
Yeah.
And here we are. This is. Yep.
We have a Velocitron override live unboxed there. There she is.
There we are. There is the leader of Velocitron herself, of Speed Planet.
Fantastic.
I'll let her sit there because we're running to time and I butted in with that one.
We are. I'm gonna throw Mikey up on the screen there as well. Mikey, you've got 2 acquisitions tonight. One of them I
do.
also have as well, and I've also gone already with Minerva, so go for it.
All right. So for my acquisiciones, yesterday I picked up, and this is the $40 deluxe, Knockout, and been very much looking forward to him. He was the last one that I needed for my Prime collection that I'm slowly adding. So he's pretty cool. I think I might be opening him. And today, good friend and TCCA member Mike Green, I went over to visit him with my friend Kate, and he had for me waiting at the door Crusher.
Excellent.
So I'm very happy with that. It was a complete surprise because I asked him. I was just talking to him online. I'm just like, hey, if you see it, let me know. And there it is. So Jason will happily demonstrate her now.
I've got the I've got the unboxed version there, so that Mikey doesn't have to. We're not sure about Mikey's commitment to the basher method of unboxing.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah, you're up for it with Knockout.
I'm up for it with Knockout.
All right.
Yeah, I'm really
look, I really like Crasher. Really like the color scheme of her. And also just I like the Mirage mold that we've been getting through War for Cybertron as well. So very happy with it.
Some people made a fuss that she doesn't have a new head, but Crash's head
I think it
pretty
works
much
just
is
fine.
Mirage's. Yeah, she
Yeah.
doesn't really need a new head. He's got the same shaped head to start with. Just need to change the color, and they did that. So yeah.
I think it looks well from everything that I've seen. I'm pretty happy with it. So
Yeah,
the basher method.
once it's in the right colors, it looks like Crusher. Sorry, go on.
Simply,
Here we go. It's been an unfortunate moment for your video to freeze, but it's okay.
Oh,
It's back.
are you
It's back
kidding?
now. it's back.
I just why? The internet god.
It's
Yeah,
it's always better that way.
It's
like
a
a jump
$40
cut before
investment
and
for the
after.
podcast down the drain. But yep, go on.
Oh well, you can just assume I just annihilated that box.
Very nice. very nice.
It's better this way. It's like a jump cut before and after.
There you go.
We do have one person whose soul has been damaged by your unboxing.
I'm so sorry, Facebook user. So he looks good. He the new trend of
Wait.
figures
What do you mean he looks good? He looks amazing
He
as
looks-
always.
He looks gorgeous,
Yeah.
baby.
Mm-hmm.
The trend of putting your weapons and accessories in these little, what do you call them? Tissue paper things.
Sure.
So
Tissue paper
don't-
things. Yeah.
Don't throw out your tissue paper. This one's more obvious. Like that's just like there's something in there. But like for example, we had the what was it? The pterosaur with his little
Why does
yeah.
everyone remind me of Pterosaur?
You're the one that threw it out, didn't you?
Yes, I
Yeah.
threw them out, and I think I even had been reminded of it about 3 hours or so before I did it, and then I was just like, yeah, whatever. Hey, look, that figure looks really ace, and he does. I completely forgot about the wrist things until it was gone. So, yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can just manhandle him out of these straps because I didn't bring any scissors because that would have been smart to do. But not the smartest.
I mean, you know what they say: never podcast with scissors, right?
Oh yes.
Also, you
So
got
dangerous.
you have to be careful. You are showing us like there's actually a large part of him that is sort of
he
over
is.
the back of the box. There we go.
There he is.
Ah,
and
look
there
at
you have.
look at that good-looking bot.
Then you have technically the sexiest Transformer alive, and with the most charisma, and one of the best
Facts.
prime characters. One of the
Also
best prime
facts.
characters. Knockout. Now, I really do like this mold. It's a good mold. I liked it as Jazz. The only thing, Knockout's iconic vents
Sort of
that he has.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not here. It's unfortunate because like that's such. Whenever I think of Knockout, I think of his chest design and his vents here. I can forgive it. It's because it just in hand he feels really cool. I'll get his little weapon out. He comes with his stick of kill, death, mutilation.
I believe
I think
that is. I believe that's the technical. Yeah, I'm being told that you're right. Yes. Yeah.
It's the type. Oh, it's clear. No, is it clear plastic? Oh, good, fantastic. Well, that's not good to find out.
I'm not sure that it is.
It looks like it.
Maybe.
See?
Oh, that part. Yes. Sorry, I thought you meant the other weapon.
You can vaguely see through it. Okay, let me see if I can.
We're doing that. Override bot mode, and her leg comes off apparently.
Yeah, it's an action feature.
She's a weaponizer.
Yeah, I think
I'm
they're
actually
made the
confused.
same way as Cup's legs.
I do have override, so I'm keen to see what your thoughts on her are. But here is Mr. Knockout with his little spear.
Mr. Fantastic. Yeah, that is a
Very
really
dapper.
nice weapon with him as well.
Is it Timmy Turner's dad he's voiced by? I think that's correct.
It's
It's,
Darren Norris.
Maurice
isn't it?
LaMarche?
Yeah, it's
No,
they
he's
couldn't have
not
picked a
Maurice
better.
LaMarche, I don't think.
Oh, I thought it was. Oh.
They
think
couldn't have
it's
picked a
Darren
better voice actor for this guy because that voice just and the character. So I'm happy to have a really cool, and we can all like this guy isn't perfect, but it's a lot better than the Transformers Prime Knockout that we got because that thing is not great. It left a lot.
It did leave a lot to be
It
desired.
sucked. Lot to
I
be
very happily removed it from its position next to Transformers Prime Breakdown and have put Legacy Breakdown. Legacy Knockout up next to him. You are correct. You are quite correct about the voice actor. I don't know why. Darren Norris. You're right.
Well, that is a voice that Maurice LaMarche often does, so it's not.
Yeah, that
completely off
is.
base.
I always think of Prime Knockout's voice as being Zach Brannigan.
Oh well, kinda.
Yeah.
Not really.
Kinda. All right. I think we are about done with the old acquisitions. I think we're about ready to finish for the night. We are horribly over time. Does anyone have anything to add on before we bring this lovely little show to a close?
Got another acquisition, but I think we can save it for next time. So
Yeah, I think we might do that. We'll,
we're all feeling a bit sleepy.
we are, and it's a Thursday night, and some of us have to work in the morning, unfortunately. Like, usually when we record these on a Friday, like, yeah, off you go. Basic rundown, some TCCA club news. Memberships are open. We are on track to having our best membership year yet. We're just over 240 members. I think our record is just over 250 members we set last year. So hopefully really heading for a bumper year. Just announced today, Oz Comic Con Melbourne is coming back. I remember talking about this with people. I thought, no, they won't do another Oz Comic Con. Oh no, they are. They're doing a Oz Comic Con Christmas edition at the showgrounds in Melbourne in mid-December. So we are exploring having a TCCA stand at Oz Comic Con again. So hopefully we'll see you there. If you're in Sydney and you're watching live, we do have a meetup happening at Outback Steakhouse at North Strathfield on Saturday, find the event in
Yes.
the group and see you'll see the details there. Do come and say hi, and we'll bring along some toys. Some of us will bring along toys. We love to just fill the table up with toys at these meetups. It makes absolutely no bones about why we're all there when people come by and they're like, what's this large group of people doing? Oh, there's toys everywhere. I see.
That's the statement of intent.
Exactly. So yeah, please do come along to our meetups. Come along and see us at Oz Comic Con, and it's what we do, and we love doing it, and we love making some nice little outreaches into the community and building a nice, strong local community.
And if
So-
you haven't been to a meetup before, just I'm going to say that I've been to pretty much all of them. They're lots of fun. Everyone's very welcoming. You won't feel left out or whatever. You think it might be weird having a bunch of grown men having toys on the table? Like, no one around gives a crap. So no one like singles us
No
out
one
or
around
anything like that.
matters.
Yeah, not that they matter or anything, but it's just
Yeah.
like I think it's such a normal thing now that like no one cares. So come
Actually,
bring
is the
your
normal
toys.
thing now. It's
It
it's
is.
quite.
Everyone, it's normalized, So come bring your toys. We're gonna have lots of fun. These things are always awesome. We don't just talk Transformers, so you won't get bored. And come along, have a good time.
In
Couldn't
fact,
have said it
the
better
last
myself.
little local collab I had was a bunch of grown women with toys on the table. So it's all equal opportunity.
It's
Exactly.
fantastic.
And we do have some girls coming, so
We do. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you've been watching along with the live record, as people have, I've been watching the numbers drop as we finish talking about acquisitions and head into the outro. Thank you for checking us out, everyone. You will find out more about these stories with links to them and more in the show notes. You can get in touch with us via the Transformers Collectors Club Australia group on Facebook, and the Facebook page for the podcast is Australian Transformers Weekly. The website is transformersweekly.podbean.com. If you're not already subscribed, you can find out how to subscribe there. We are a production of Transformers Collectors Club Australia, a registered club in Victoria run by volunteers donating their time, effort, energy, money, and Friday and Thursday nights to make collecting life in Australia better for everyone. Our goal is to build the Australian Transformers collecting community by engaging fans around the country. We make content like this podcast. We attend live in-person events like Oz Comic Con. We run meetups around the place, and we run Facebook's largest dedicated Australian Transformers discussion and sales communities. You can find out more information about the benefits of TCCA membership and how to show your support for what we do at transformerscca.com. That is it for us. We will be back with more Transformers news soon. Maybe it'll be next week. Maybe it won't be next week. We'll see. It depends how much news breaks during the week. We'll see how we go.
We'll see
But-
if they make those masterpiece Natron and Freezons.
What?
Oh God! Wow, that's a deep cut.
I mean, there are
so
rumors
deep.
that
I have
there'll be
no idea what it means.
I know. Look, it's a deep cut to end the show on, so I'm going to end the show on it. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Ta ta.
Catch you later.
Night all.